Welcome to Monday. I'm Jim Williams, and Sean and Amadeus are with us. And the gang's all here. We got a full house and a couple of aces. Sean and Amadeus. Guys, what did you see on the weekend that was interesting?
Not much. I don't remember watching many games this weekend, to be honest.
I saw DC United lose. That was they didn't play well at all. I was hoping that Wayne Rooney would in the second half come out and wearing his his uniform and play because they could have used him.
Yeah, it's I haven't. I got to take a look at all the scores from Sunday for the MLS. The MLS is so tough to look at this early in the season because it's it's cold. I know Seattle's off to a pretty good start. Austin with a big win yesterday, but St. Louis, anytime those teams come in,
great soccer town.
Yeah, yep, 100%. LAFC giving up goals galore. Again, Inter Miami beating the Union. I think, look, it's early, but I think usually by the time, a lot of people won't even look at the table in in baseball until you're in July and so you're at it's just to kind of look at it so early is tough. But there's been some pretty interesting surprises so far. St. Louis being right at the top. I think them playing in that reserve league last year and doing so well. I watched. That was the first game RNYFC played. So I think, getting their feet under them last year in that league and then, stepping up to this one, I think has helped them.
I saw an interesting and fun interview about something that we've all talked about. Amadeus, you've and Sean have championed the cause of relegation in the MLS.
Yes.
And this weekend, I saw an interview with two owners of MLS teams who said that's like turkeys talking about how much they like Thanksgiving. It probably isn't going to happen. Although they are having conversations as to, there are 30 teams in the league now, and there's another probably 10 cities that want teams. They could do it if they had the guts to do it.
I think what they'd probably have to do is maybe do 20 team, like I said, West and East, but if you want to break it into MLSA and MLSB and you maybe do something like that. I just use USL. So I think that people will be, the stigma around MLSB or something like that. So they probably won't do it, but the problem is like
I would use USL. I mean, because those
too far gone at this point. I think like these, I think we said this. Like the problem is these teams coming in are paying like astronomical fees to be in the MLS right now, and if I just pay $250 million to get in, I'm not gonna, especially, if you're a new team, I'm not gonna immediately put myself into the point where I'm gonna get relegated in the first year because these new teams are often. Cincinnati was terrible for 2 years or 3 years. Now they're good, but like, the fact that there's no relegation gives them a safety net to build the team in the proper way. The same thing with like the Union.
You could put a 3 or a 4 year limit on new, on the new teams. If you could invest it, say, look, you have to be in the league 5 years or 10 years or whatever, and just and then work it out that way. So maybe.
Yeah, I think there's going to have to be something where, like, when the league is set, like, listen, we're at 40 teams. At that point, say, look, in 3 years, we're going to go promotion and relegation,
right,
or something. You know, because it's not going to work until then, and you know, it's just like too much. There's too much other stuff around that. Like, it's a great idea. It works everywhere else, but you know, these places I think had it in place.
Mhm.
So you know,
No, they're used to it.
before they got to the point where these franchises are worth. I mean, just think about like, you know, the Yankees wouldn't do it. You know, these other teams wouldn't do it. You know, even
Well,
though it's a great idea.
LA got the first billion-dollar, evaluation of a MLS team, and there's 10 or 15. I'm sorry, 5 or 10 teams that are north of $500 million. So,
But they wouldn't be worth that if they were in the USL and they're not on TV and they're not all
no,
that stuff.
no,
That's the
no,
see that's the thing.
yeah,
So like that's these owners are just I
yeah,
think you know they're
yeah.
yeah it's just I mean I don't know. People are always telling me I should write articles about it. I just said look it's a waste of my time. It's not gonna happen. Like
Don Quixote,
yeah,
swimming.
like I could write about you know unicorns and
Yeah,
all this other stuff as well. And if they have about as much of a chance of appearing in my backyard as there of being promotion and relegation in the next 5 years. So, and when you start talking, like, look, I mean, you know, 5 years from now it's 2028,
right.
and that's 2 years after the World Cup. If it's not happening in 5 years, like when does it happen? 10 years? Well, I'm not even 10 years from now. I could be dead. Like, I'm not worried about like 10 years from now. Like it's you can't you don't even know what the word we could be living on Mars by then. Like 10 years out is like is I mean that starts talking about like some crazy stuff. So, you know, I don't think it's gonna happen until there's you know
Well, it may not happen at all.
yeah, maybe they combine with Liga MX and
Mhm.
maybe there's like a North American league, you know, maybe some of the Canadian teams, you know, the ones that aren't in the MLS now come in
Mhm.
and you know, there's a 60 team, you know, they put 60 teams and they make it, you know, north, south, east and west,
Mhm.
15 teams and you play each other. You know, there's 100 ways you could do it, but you know, that
So,
would make it more interesting and I think maybe, you know, less about promotion and relegation because you know, I understand that, you know, Real Central New Jersey wants to be in, but, you know, they're playing in a 500 seat stadium right now in
yeah,
Mercer Park. And, you know, the Union are playing in a 20,000 seat stadium. You know, it's not the same.
right. And Amadeus, your team that you're, want into the MLS, that you've got right there in Canada, in Ontario. Uh, we're still waiting for the papers, but it could, we could do it. What would your team be named?
I'm not 100% sure. I mean, really, my team is Toronto FC. I don't really want to follow the.
No, I'm saying if you had a team.
If you
Well,
bought a team,
If
yeah,
I bought a team, if I bought a team, well, I don't know. I don't even know what city I would put it in. It definitely wouldn't be the one I'm living in right now. So it's
Miami, probably.
yeah, like if we're talking Canadian cities, it might not even be in this province. But yeah, it's I'd have to think about that. You just
Bahamas FC.
yeah, you just spring that one on me, and
I'm
I've never no worries. I've never even thought of a team name. What I would call it. It's a good question. Maybe throw
Mercer
it out
United
to
FC. So I wouldn't even have to change my code.
we'll throw it right in the middle of Canada, somewhere out in the prairies, and we'll give them something to do.
okay.
Alberta.
Yeah, no, man, not even maybe Saskatchewan or something like right. Actually, Manitoba doesn't have a lot to do there, so maybe they need a
Saskatchewan Rough
soccer
Riders.
team.
How about Saskatoon?
Yeah, perfect. Right in the
I love the names.
right in the Saskatoon something.
Saskatoon SC.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. But yeah, I don't know.
Stuff going on.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, the promotion and relegation, I think it's something that's necessary. I know that the big suits in the MLS look at it like, oh, we can't have that. We're gonna lose too much money. Well, I look at it the opposite way. You're never going to grow your sport, and you're never going to be taken seriously as a soccer league around the world until you have promotion or relegation.
Well, there's that.
To be honest, I don't watch much MLS. I mean, I'll watch it sometimes if it's on. It's just hard for me personally because by the time I leave, by the time it's 2:30, I've already watched. If I'm home, if I'm not out working, I've already watched 3 matches minimum. Because at 10 o'clock I have 3 games on. So I've watched the 7:30 game, the 10 o'clock game, and the 12:30 game, and that's it. If Manchester United's not playing, and then so it's 2:30. And then PSG comes on. So the other day I watched PSG because I wasn't feeling great. So I was like, I'm not doing anything. I watched PSG play. And it was a very good game. Very entertaining. Mbappe broke the record and stuff like that. But it was an entertaining game. I mean, it was really, really interesting against Nantes. Or, if there's Real Madrid or Barcelona's play. So now all of a sudden it's 5 o'clock. I haven't done anything except watch 4 games. I'm like, my day's been useless. And then all of a sudden now you're like, oh, wow, the 17 MLS games are on, at 7 o'clock or 7:30. And it's just
time to go do
I'll
some
have
work.
it on sometimes on the TV and listen to music because usually at night I listen to music. So, but now half the time I'm asleep or whatever. But it's just something where it's I'll have it on, but I'm not really kind of paying attention to it. During those early in the morning games, usually I'm paying attention, or I'm writing and doing it. But
I'm just got a score here from the Italian league, Serie A. It's Sassuolo. Is that how you pronounce it?
Sassuolo.
Okay, 2-1. That would
Are
Cremesi.
you doing tutoring?
Okay. Yeah, and Torino versus Bologna is starting, in about 10 minutes. The Spanish League today, not much. And English Premier League, Brentford and Fulham.
That's a big game. That's a big game today. When you look at the table, I mean, these teams are 7th and 9th. Fulham can jump ahead of Newcastle. Fulham can push Newcastle down into 7th, and pull even with Liverpool on points at 42. I think Fulham's, Brighton's got 2 games in hand. They'll have 3 games in hand on Fulham at that point. I think Brighton's got to stay ahead, or Fulham's got to stay ahead of those teams. I don't know that they're going to end up there, and Brentford is on 35 points. So they're right there in the mix too. So, with 2 games in hand as well. So, I think these teams got to just keep, keep battling and keep playing. I think Brentford can, they're pretty good. At some point, though, they're going to lose Ivan Toney. He's going to get banned for the betting. So I think they're going to probably fall off a little bit. Fulham, I think Fulham, just because they score goals, can be in this mix. I don't know that they will. I think Brighton is better than them. Obviously Liverpool, Tottenham better than them. And Chelsea's kind of, they still can't score any goals. So, but I think, so I think Fulham can do it. So interesting.
Yeah, I still think Brighton is the threat to get that final 4 spot. I was looking at the table again, and I didn't even realize they're 10 points behind Tottenham, but they got 3 matches in hand. So
yeah, they're 4 back at Liverpool, but 2 matches in hand. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. Is they got 9 points on the table, and the way Tottenham's been playing lately, that could easily be a 1 point away from passing them, especially since Tottenham's got Champions League to worry about now. So if they can advance, they'll have it in the future as well.
Let me pull up the Brighton schedule here.
While you do that, but yeah, going back to the Brentford, I think it's going to be an important game. I think Fulham double chance. It's got some value here, just because.
This line is weird to me.
Yeah, Brentford's been playing well, but they've been struggling to score, especially on the teams with better defense. And like I said, I was talking last week on the show about how this Fulham team, they've done a complete 180. They were scoring tons of goals before the World Cup, but giving up a ton. They're winning like 3-2 games, 4-3. They had to score goals, but then they came out of the World Cup break and they're not giving up anything. And they've been in even better form because they're not scoring as much, but mainly because they don't need to. They can score 1 or 2 goals and still come away with the win because they're playing good defense.
Here's Brighton's matches in hand are against Manchester United at home and at Newcastle. They play Leeds on Saturday. They play Palace on Wednesday the 15th. Then they don't play that next weekend because of the FA Cup. Then they play Brentford again on Saturday the 1st. Bournemouth on on Tuesday the 4th. Spurs, Chelsea, City. So they have after that they have Spurs, Chelsea, City, Newcastle, Manchester United, Nottingham Forest, Wolves, Everton, Arsenal, Southampton. So they play everybody ahead of them.
Yeah, so definitely not a fun one, but Newcastle's been slipping lately. Manchester United, they're in a lot of competitions, as you know, Sean. So
Been tired, man.
It's gonna start to wear down on them, right? So if they see Man United closer to the end of the season, Brighton might be heading with a full head of steam by then because they're not playing in anything. I don't even think, are they still in
They're in the FA Cup?
They're in the FA Cup. Okay, so they have a cup competition, but they're not in European competition. They're looking to get into European competition. So
cash in,
might be a team to watch out for in this final stretch of the season.
Hey, we missed you, Foxy, and we're doing well. And thanks for showing up. Yeah, Foxy said that he showed up 7 minutes late. So
yeah, he missed the recap of yesterday, so we can't. Sorry,
we can't. We can't bore people.
We're not gonna. Some of us missed yesterday. We didn't watch anything. So
some of us just turned it off halfway through.
Glazed over some stuff.
Which
glazered over. You glazered over some stuff.
Glazered over.
No, and then tomorrow is this Brentford Fulham game obviously today, and then tomorrow is massive.
Can you tell me why there's a Conference League game tomorrow?
Because
it's at 12:45, obviously, but
isn't Roma at home as well on Thursday?
Oh, okay, yeah, that might be a bit of an issue. Then I didn't realize they play in different.
Don't do that.
Yeah, they play in different competitions too.
Same city though, right?
Yeah. That's that.
So they're not allowed. They're not allowed to do that. So. Even if they play, they don't play in the same stadium, right?
I don't think they play in the same stadium. That's why
they might.
I didn't think they did. Let's find out. I thought let's find out.
Audio Olympico, yeah.
It's CONCACAF's champion.
So they play in the same stadium. So they both play at Stadio Olimpico, yeah. So I did. So
same with the. That's where the national team plays too.
Yes. So did I. Roma play Thursday. Yeah. So they gotta move that. And then sometimes that'll happen with Europa League and stuff and champion. Most of the time it doesn't happen with Champions League because they can change the days. But yeah, that's interesting because they both got drawn at home in that first leg. So Lazio gets a little bit less rest. But these Champions League games, Chelsea Dortmund. Chelsea finally got a win. They didn't look great, but they at least
scored a late goal. I didn't even expect them to win.
Well, it was it wasn't like super late, but they just they got a header. They didn't play great. And then I think that's a tough game. I just, it could go either way. And then obviously Wednesday, no Neymar for PSG. He's out for the year. He's going to Dubai to have surgery. That was announced today. So he will not be back at all.
He's got a lot of birthday party invites.
That's what I was wondering.
Look, I mean, it's not the worst thing in the world. They got Ikatike and some of these other people, so it's not the worst thing.
I would say out of the three, Neymar is probably the guy that you can afford to lose the most.
Yes, and then Tottenham AC Milan. My friend tomorrow and Eddie, they're going to those games Tuesday and Wednesday in London. His kid Kevin Pereira is a huge Tottenham fan, so they're going to go to that. I still think I think Milan gets through that tie.
Hey, I told you they were going to lose to Fiorentina on the weekend because that's classic Milan move. You got Champions League during the week, so
yeah.
Don't try on the road in your league match, and that's exactly what happened. They lost 2-1, and that was a nice plus 180 if you grabbed it on Friday because it wasn't plus 180 on Saturday. I'll tell you that much. That one really started to get bet down to Fiorentina's side. Sorry.
It's interesting. AC Milan right now is minus 177 to go through.
Yeah, because they have the lead. So basically,
if it's only 1-0, that to me is it still should be like because Tottenham is minus money to win this game.
I know.
So that's weird.
That's what I said, Foxy. Like literally, when before this round even started, and we were discussing it for months, I was saying like these are like the same team to me. It's hard to pick a winner.
Yeah, at that point, you know what? I don't know. For me, maybe I go with the value there of Tottenham to go through, but I still think AC Milan goes through.
Tottenham's going to be at home too, right? So if this game goes into extra time and even penalties, Tottenham's got that home advantage.
Yeah.
So.
And then Thursday you got obviously all the 8 million games.
Minus Lazio.
Larnaca.
Yeah.
AEK Larnaca hosting West Ham at 12:45 on Thursday. The pick Anderlecht Villarreal, Sheriff and Nice could be a overthrow of the government involved in that game. Basel, Slovan Bratislava. I mean, it kind of sucks that they play all these games at 12. I wish they would spread them out a little more. I mean, obviously you can't, but because to me, I found the Conference League games a little more enjoyable in the regular season than I have some of the Europa League games. I thought those games were really, I think now when you look at the Europa League games that are, they're both fifth now, struggling in the leagues.
They also both suck, Foxy. Like we could draw a list of AC Milan and Tottenham and sit here putting things down on each side all day. Like it's literally they're just garbage teams. You got the CONCACAF round of 16 this week too, which is very interesting. Same with I know CONMEBOL is back too.
Yes. Yep.
Copa Libertadores.
Yeah, Copa Sudamericana qualification and Copa.
It's the crappy teams right now.
Yes. But there's some interesting games.
I'm sure Foxy's got the inside on those qualifier rounds.
We'll do if you want to do a soccer show later, picking games or whatever, we could this week you start doing games at night if you want to do 9 o'clock or something like that.
Sounds good to me.
All right.
So, one of the things that happens tomorrow, boys, is the World Baseball Classic starts. And here's the latest odds on the World's Baseball Classic. Of course, I hit the wrong tab. The Dominican Republic is plus 250. I'm sorry, plus 200. The U.S. is plus 250. Japan's plus 350. Puerto Rico so plus 1,100. Venezuela plus 1,600. Mexico plus 1,800. And Korea is plus 2,200. Those
Well,
games are all on the Fox family of networks, including Tubi.
I would either go DR or US.
I know the Dominican Republic just lost my guy Vladdy, so
Oh, is he
Yeah.
out?
yeah, he's not playing in the classic. I think he's got like a knee injury or some kind of injury that he wants to be ready for the MLB season. So he's he's choosing not to play.
That's a weird time to have it. You know, I contend they should have this in January in somewhere warm. You know, it's the off season. It's far enough out from the thing that you're whatever, and these guys are still playing a lot of times in the winter leagues.
They have the Arizona.
The fall
league
league, and then
in
they
the
play.
fall.
You know, they play the Caribbean World Series and stuff.
Right. So you could do it right after, say, Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and you're not.
It would have to be.
Do it week 17 of the NFL.
Right.
Nobody watches that anyway.
Right. It would. It could be done. There's a disgrace to qualifiers. You asked him to check in on the qualifiers. He did it for you.
Yeah, that's embarrassing how they do that. All right, so I gotta go tutor. But,
Okay,
Foxy,
we'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, Amadeus, I'll text you, but we'll do 9 o'clock.
Sounds good.
All right, man.
Take care.
See ya.
Bye. All right, so let's get back to the World Baseball Classic. All of the games are on Fox and the Fox family of networks in the United States, and Tubi, which is I strongly recommend it. If it's a free app, and download it to your phone or to your tablet or to your smart TV. It's got a lot of good stuff on it. So it's how to bet on the World Baseball Classic according to Fox Sports.
First, I just want to touch on Foxy's comment there.
Go ahead.
Foxy, don't you worry. Me and Sean will take over MLS and CONCACAF. You work on taking over CONMEBOL, and we'll never have scheduling issues ever again. Okay, let's just get it right.
I spoke to my brother this weekend, and he said that he's got 2 monitors and then 11 small ones to watch all of the MLS games at one time.
Yeah, see, it's difficult for him too, and it's not his fault. He's just making the best of what the MLS throws at him. But if the MLS just scheduled games a little better, nobody would have to need 11 monitors to watch games.
He's got a squawk box to each one of the trucks that are there, and if something is going awry, he can find out.
Your audio is off. What are you guys doing?
Right, yeah.
I've turned on. I tuned in for some XFL on the weekend. I found out that TSN shows it not on TV, but you have to use like their app, and they have extra games like La Liga and stuff like that. There was no sound, absolutely no audio. Not like it wasn't like there was no commentator. There was no audio. All I was watching was video. And after about 5 minutes, I had to shut it off. I was like, I can't even hear like you see guys talking, they're mic'd up, and nothing's coming out. You're not even getting like the sound of the fresh breeze outside or like a slight roar from the fans. It's just dead silence while you're watching these guys hit each other, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't.
And you don't know the players.
Exactly. I wanted to watch the XFL, and there was no audio, and I was very disappointed. So TSN, if you're watching, get your crap together.
Yeah, that's not good. You can't work that way.
I tried. I honestly tried to give it a shot. Everybody's talking about the XFL, and I couldn't do it. It's just.
I've had situations where the mics have been off, but what we call the ambient mics, the ones that picks up the crowd noise, you can hear that, and you're like, okay, let's track back from there. Where's the problem?
And see, I watch some soccer games like that because like You're not always going to get a commentator in the Turkish league or the Belgian league or some of these leagues, but it's fine because you hear the ambient stuff. You can hear like the roars. You can hear them kick it or just, slight yells from the field. It was nothing. I would have taken that with the XFL.
And that way you can even know where, even if you just randomly, tune it in, you can tell by the crowd noise with the ball where they play. So you might, you may not know that they're playing, in Toronto, but you get that whenever the Toronto touches the ball. But
Exactly.
it's the announcers on the MLS broadcast are never on camera, and the reason that is because there's 3 sets of them. There's an English set, there's a Spanish set, and there's a French set. So, because of the Canadian teams, and then you have the ability to click on and have your local radio. So if you want to watch the feed and hear the guys from your team call it, then you can. So it's done in a World Cup kind of a way because everybody has the same feed, and the only thing that's different is if you choose to make it English, French, or Spanish, or local. So they don't put the announcers on the screen. I'm good with that. I can live without seeing the announcers, and it's very much like watching a Premier League game or a English league game. You hear the announcers, but you don't see them.
Yeah, that's good. It sounds like the broadcasting team has their crap together, but the MLS scheduling team does not. So MLS, if you're listening, get your schedule together.
I think my brother said there's 40 games in 20 days, or 40 games in less than 20 days. I mean, it's because the Wednesday games will start up.
Yeah.
So it'll be Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday. And that's when things will get drawn out, and we'll see how that goes. But it's you're right. Scheduling is something that will be fun. Here is, like I said, we talked about the betting. Team USA is plus 275 to win on Fox Bet. They're the second shortest odds behind the Dominican, as we said. Let's go over the pros and cons of the USA. The pros is they've got Trey Turner, Nolan Arenado, Will Smith, Mookie Betts, and Mike Trout.
So they've got hitters.
They got batters. They can get score some runs. The cons are they don't got any pitching. I'm looking at it.
Works for the Blue Jays, like I said. It works for the Blue Jays.
Yeah. Team Japan has the best rotation due to Fangraphs. They've got Otani, Darvish, and the Dominican has Sandy Alcantara. And
great season.
The top American pitcher is 52nd on the Fangraphs WAR list, Lance Lynn.
Oh no, Lance Lynn!
You know you're in trouble when Lance Lynn is your starting prospect. He's your one.
Second. He's the best American.
He's the best American who's playing.
Who's playing? I was gonna say he cannot be the best American pitcher out there, or you guys are in some serious trouble if Lance Lynn, who you're bringing to the table for pitching.
I'll tell you what, Otani and Darvish, that's a class. You got 2 1s there.
Who's number 3? Who's their third guy?
They don't say. They're giving them.
We're not telling you.
They're just going over the to find. I was just checking to see if I missed an American pitcher, and it says no. You must go down to 52nd on your list to see Lance Lynn.
Oh, man. He was like one of my favorites. Every time I saw him on the mound, it was either like over or bet the other team. First 5 over, bet the other team. Not over, first 5 over, because he was more likely to give up 5 runs in the first 5 innings, but then there could be no runs the rest of the game. So that's why that was your best bet with him.
Ugh. Yeah, that was
him and Dallas Keuchel.
Oh God.
Yeah, just tell me your starting rotations: Lance Lynn, Dallas Keuchel, and give me another.
Morton.
Yeah, come on.
Morton. Give me Charlie Morton.
That's why you have so many good batters. You're gonna need them.
Yeah, you have to, like you said, we're gonna play Toronto ball.
Yeah, it's Toronto ball. It works for us, man. It works. Just doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you're down 8-0. If you can fill up the bases and slap it out of the park, you're good.
Well, okay. I like Trey Turner because he can get on base, and when he gets on base, he's instant steal.
Yeah.
And we'll watch. I don't know if I wonder if the World Baseball Classic is using the pizza box bags. Because that would be beneficial to Trey.
Are they using the pitch clock?
I don't know. I didn't see it.
See, these are things we need to know. Are they following suit?
Yeah.
Because I don't think like the KBO doesn't use a pitch clock.
No.
So some of these teams from other countries, right? Like
the Dominican, you could basically go and get a hot dog and come back.
So you could have a whole lunch.
Yeah.
The guy's still sitting there throwing the same batter.
Can I have a second hot dog, please?
But that's what I mean. Like, I doubt they would change it just because the MLB. Like a lot of these countries that are playing, they play by the good old fashioned rules. No pitch clock, none of this robot umpires and things like that.
Hey, where do you stand on the issue of if a guy hits a home run, he can stand there and the bat flip and all that?
It depends. As long as the ball goes out.
Oh yeah,
if you're gonna stand there and watch it, and then the guy catches it at the fence, then I got a problem with that. But if like usually the batter knows. The batter knows, and I say it in every sport: hockey, soccer, whatever. The guy or the girl who hit the ball, puck, whatever, into the net knows they scored. Like 9 times out of 10, they know. The ref can say whatever I want. I didn't see it, whatever. The player knows. The player knows when they've scored. And sometimes in baseball, it's both ways. The pitcher and the batter knows because there's certain sound it makes. And you can just tell by the way it's hit, right? Like the player knows from the feel how much you got out of it, and the pitcher knows from the sound. They can just tell. So if you want to bat flip, like I don't really have a problem with it.
I personally think it shows some emotion because pitchers, when they strike out, they punch into the air and that sort of thing. Okay,
it's like celebrating an NFL, right?
Yeah.
Like you should be allowed to celebrate. Like don't do it at someone, but you should be able to go to the crowd and celebrate. Like what's wrong?
Hockey, basketball, you hit the shot, everybody's happy. The World Baseball Classic the guidelines are there's going to be a pitch count. There's going to be a mercy rule.
Oh, what's the mercy rule? Like 10?
The mercy rule, I think, is like 8 or 10 runs down. That's it. They're going to use the DH for both teams.
That was my other question.
Bases will be bigger.
Okay, so my pillows.
Defensive shifts will not be allowed. Okay, and a pitch clock will be enforced.
Oh, a pitch clock too. What about extra innings? Are we getting the
getting the extra base runner?
Yeah, the extra base runner, because then it's basically just MLB rules because the KBO doesn't use any of that.
Yep.
and the CPBL and
We got the designated runner on the games.
They do. Yeah. So it's MLB rules then. That's basically what it is. Because they don't have any of that. I forget what the Japanese league is called. It's on the tip of my tongue. But yeah, the CPBL, the KBO, none of that has that.
Does Major League Baseball play Japan? Does MLB play Japanese teams? They did. They did in an exhibition after the season. One or two of the teams that were in playoffs used to go and do a tour of Japan and play maybe 4 or 5 games. Then after the season, there was kind of like, I hesitate to call it an all-star team because it really wasn't an all-star team. It was a team of players who wanted to go to Japan, for vacation and play some baseball.
All right, Max called in. Get over here. We need you.
Yeah, we gotta go. My understanding, the last one was 2019. They haven't been since COVID, so I don't know if that has anything to do with it. But to your question in the comments section, that used to be, as I said, they used to be one of the playoffs teams would go, and then they stopped that, and they basically sent a pseudo all-star team over. And to be honest, it was a good idea for this thing. The players who went had such good things to say about Japan that really opened the door for a lot of base MLB players going off to Japan to play for a year or two. I know that 3 or 4 guys that played in the playoffs who were bit players, decided they signed with Japan like right after the World Series and playoffs because they figured 1 year in the Japanese league and maybe they could find their stroke and come back, and because they know they're going to play every day and they're not going to play here every day. So
I see tons of American and just North American pitchers in the KBO all the time when I'm looking at the starting pitchers. A lot of them tend to be better ones, but like Ivan Nova was one that I saw last year in the league, right? And that's the thing is that I even saw guys where they were like young kids, and when you look like, oh, where'd they come from? And it was like a college team. It wasn't even necessarily they played in the MLB. No, they went straight there because they figured that was their better chance than trying to make the MLB. But definitely, there's a lot there. Here, I got an idea I'd like to float to you, Jim.
Sure.
Tell me what you think of this one.
Okay.
What if we made it, and I'm just going to use these 4 countries just because I feel like those are probably the 4 best countries for the sport. But what would you say to if we made it kind of like they have the Club World Cup in soccer? You take the best team from the Dominican League against the best team from the MLB, and then you do the same thing. You take the best team from the KBO and the best team from the Japanese League. You have them play each other, and then the winner of those 2 games face each other in like a finals to see. And I say those 4 just because you can look at the odds for the World Cup baseball to tell you where those countries are at with the sport. But I figure U.S. and Dominican is probably the 2 biggest on this side, and then Japan and Korea. China's only got like 4 teams. It's a small league. That's why I'm leaving them out. They have a really small league. But yeah, I would think Korea and Japan probably.
So you're talking about the actual, like a Champions League.
Yeah, so like the Dodgers versus a Dominican team that won that league, and then we get like the SSG Landers from the KBO and go up against like the Yomiuri Giants or something like that from Japan, and then the winners of those games play each other. So you get like the Dodgers versus the Landers.
I love that idea, but the reason I was asking whether it was a game, like that, because so many players of the Dominican play on the regular teams.
That's
So,
that's the other thing
but
too.
that's in Champions League, PSG doesn't have the best French players on
Yeah.
it, so it's I think that'd be fun. I think it'd be fun to see what happens.
Yeah. Now, obviously, because I'm soccer minded, that's why I think of that. But
I
think it would be cool
if they were allowed to do it. I would put Cuba in there too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, if you wanted to add a few more teams like China, Cuba, maybe Canada, and a few other teams, maybe even from other continents.
Right.
See, the thing is, I don't know how popular baseball is in Europe, Africa, South America, but like you could make it like an 8-team tournament type thing, right?
Well, you could probably get you could make it. You had 4. I would say you could probably get Cuba. You could probably get Australia, and then you're pushing it. Well, of course, Canada.
My Italians play. Well, there's the European. Right. There's the European representation.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I don't even know if we have a league though, like an Italian baseball league. That'd be.
What was it? What's the guy? Who was managing them? Come on, the catcher from the Mets and the Dodgers, Mike Piazza.
Oh yeah, okay.
Piazza managed them for a while.
He's
the first
a big name.
Yeah, the first manager they had was Lasorda, and he did it for the Pasta. Yeah. So Piazza played and managed the team for one of the baseball series. Yeah, I think that would be fun. Back in the day, in the 50s, the Havana Sugar Kings were a team that used to take on major league teams at the end of the season, in the off season, and they were like a AAA farm club. Their players were always thought of highly in the United States, and it was a trip to Havana was a treat. Not so much after 1959. A trip to Havana wasn't a treat. How many Cuban baseball players have we've seen? In over the years, who've been Yasiel Puig, Hernandez. In the pitching, and he could have probably pitched to his 50. He had that rubber arm and phenomenal. Yeah. You know what? I forgot Mexico.
Yeah, that was another one I was thinking of, right? Like I'd have to brush up, make sure these places have the leagues.
It's like you gave me this idea, and my synapse have not quite, popped.
But you want to make it happen. You're like, we could do this way. We could add that team and that country and that team.
It wouldn't be hard to add. It wouldn't be hard to add Mexico and Cuba because they're here, relatively close. And you could have Canada. You could have Australia, as we said, and then the Asian countries.
Yeah, and see, I bring it up because even though North America doesn't participate,
right?
We do for CONCACAF Champions League, but there's a Champions League in a lot of major sports. Yeah. Basketball, obviously, there's FIBA Champions League, but there's also a hockey Champions League with Russia, Sweden, because it's really popular now, and they do a Champions League. So I assume there's not one for baseball because I don't think it's popular in Europe. But like, who's to say don't create a Champions League, right?
Well, you got CONCACAF. That's relatively the same. It's not as good.
Yeah. That's what I was saying though. Like we have it for soccer, but the NHL doesn't compete in Champions League.
No.
We don't send the Colorado Avalanche to go play Europe's best hockey teams because we know we probably poached
That would
Finland
be-
and all these
Right.
places for the best players.
Right. They would be playing against their countrymen.
Exactly, right? You're basically playing like a lesser. You have a team with like a finish line here, and you're just
Right.
playing a team with a lesser finish line and less
Right.
talent because we
Right.
took all the big names. But that's what I mean, right? Like we don't
You've got,
send
you've got 2 Russian goalkeepers. So
probably the best in the league, dude.
Right.
So like good luck like beating
Coaching
that
that
team.
one, yeah. And Ovechkin and Malkin.
Guy's got a goal for Dynamo Moscow. He literally has a goal in 2 different sports, Ovechkin.
Right. I saw that goal. Did you see the goal?
Oh, I saw it. It was hilarious because
It was like a runaway bull.
and he was like freaking. He was like jumping around like a little kid with his teammates when he scored, and I was dying because I was like, this guy's got white hair and he's playing for a legitimate soccer team right now that competes in Champions League when they were allowed to.
Right. He just, I mean, if there is somebody who loves life more than Alex Ovechkin, I haven't met him.
Oh yeah, it's like he was such a terrible person before, like to be around before he won the cup. But ever since he finally got that cup, it's like nothing else matters now. I've done it. I just got to catch Gretzky for goals, and like my career is done.
Although I will tell you this, from about the 3rd year he was in the league, he was probably the most popular sports personality in Washington because he showed up at Little League games. You're thinking, what is Ovechkin throwing out the first ball at a Little League game? And he would stay for an inning or 2, and every place that needed somebody that wanted a superstar, and he was, Ted Leonsis, who owns the Capitals. Good on him because he had the community. He said he'd send 3 or 4 guys out in the community. Tom Wilson was one that you'd think might hurt somebody, just by nature. It's like, excuse me, I have to mark this guy and knock him into the board. But they went out into the community and endeared themselves to the community, and it paid off because they sold out. They're now in their 13th year of sellouts or 14th year of sellouts. And the fans know them and they like them. And, that's what you have to have if you're going to market a team, no matter what the team is.
Yeah, absolutely.
You have to have, I miss Bryce, but Bryce was one of those guys who couldn't sign enough autographs, couldn't take enough selfies, couldn't make himself available for anything and everything. I mean, he had a 1:00 game one day, and he was at 9:00 at the Little League field in Arlington, Virginia, throwing out the first pitch of the Little League game.
Wow.
So, you have to establish that. You don't want 25 individual contractors on your team. You don't that don't talk to each other in the dugout, that have separate cabs when the game's over. You want to have that team spirit and that team cohesiveness and the community that it helps. And
yeah, definitely.
And Mark Lerner in the Lerner family, who owned the Nationals, Mark is the minority owner of the Caps, so he learned from Ted, and Ted, has taught Vinnick, who owns the Tampa Bay Lightning, spent months with Ted learning the marketing aspects of it. And the marketing aspect is, if you bought 4 season tickets to a Caps game, okay, you got 4 jerseys with your name on the back of them.
That's not bad.
So the theory of the case was, if I give you merch and with your season ticket, you're probably going to buy merch,
Well, yeah, that's great because it also gives you something to go to the games in if you don't want to buy merch.
Right. And it's like an extra thing that you got. Those jerseys are $100 and some odd.
Oh yeah.
But hockey tickets, for a season are $3,000. So, I think you can probably, guys spending $3,000 on four season tickets could go for, $400 for jerseys.
Yeah, and it's good because you just spent all that money on the tickets. You're gonna have to spend money on food when you're there, and if you get something free out of it, then that's always a good thing.
We had when Chris King and I did the show, we on parlays, we had a lot of hockey fans, and one of them was from Phoenix, and he said he didn't mind paying the money for the ticket, okay, and he didn't mind that they were bad because he was a hockey fanatic, and it didn't matter whether they're good or bad. He liked the games, but he drew the line at $17 beer.
I was going to say you probably paid that much for the ticket in Arizona.
And I'm thinking you got a losing team. You're in nowhere land. I mean, that arena they're building like mad in Phoenix. Okay. Phoenix is one of the fastest growing areas in the country. And by the way, it's got a huge Canadian population, mainly from the Western, Rockies and out there. It's a lovely area, but good God, I don't know who came up with the idea of putting the arena out where it is. It's almost as bad as the stadium with it.
We're building all the nice stuff in this area. Hockey's not really popular here. We don't want that eyesore near our new developing area. Can you go build it over there?
Well, they're gonna play this year. Are they playing this year? Yeah, they are. They're playing in a hockey arena owned by Arizona State University, which I can't imagine seats more than 5,000.
That's exactly what the capacity is.
Yeah. So
I think it's like 4,300 or something like that.
So you're on top of the action there. The old saying about, they're coming to play in our barn. That's supposedly a hockey thing.
Yeah.
That is a barn. So you are playing in the barn.
Literally.
But on the campus of ASU is not a bad place to be.
I bet they get more people at the Arizona State hockey games than they do for the Coyotes.
They might. Ticket prices are much cheaper.
Are they? Come on, they can't be that expensive for the Coyotes. To be fair, the Coyotes are getting better now. They're getting better. They're still not a good team.
Okay, let's just do a little research. Speak among yourselves while I do a little research here.
Here, I'll address Foxy's comment. Foxy,
okay, that's always good.
I'm curious what you mean about this. Do you mean let's take the winner of Champions League, right? So the Club World Cup, we had Real Madrid win it. Are you telling us you want to see Real Madrid's soccer team go up against the FIBA champions and against the hockey champion? And what sport would we be playing, Foxy? I'm just a little confused about the point you're trying to get across here. Yeah, he says should have the winners of each main competition around the world play each other like a Club World Cup. LOL. Japan, USA, Venezuela, etc. Now, if we're talking baseball still, Foxy, yeah, absolutely. That's kind of that was kind of the thought I was having. But if you're talking let's take all the champions, throw them in the octagon together and just let them battle it out team versus team. I'm curious as to what sport would we have them play? Or everybody has to try everybody's sport. You get the soccer team plays the hockey team in soccer, and then they play each other in hockey. That would be interesting.
Okay, this is too good. I'm sorry. The Arizona Coyotes play in Mullet Arena in Tempe, Arizona. I'm sorry. That's too good.
Sounds about right.
Cheapest ticket. I'm right now on Ticketmaster. You can get a family pack. Okay.
Family packs. What is that, like four
Family
seats?
pack, 4 seats. No, I'm sorry. 2 seats.
2 seats. That family pack.
Yeah.
Husband and wife. Sorry. Spouse pack.
Yeah. Let's.
more
Okay.
spouse
Here's
pack.
Family pack of tickets. Okay. 4 seats, $75 a seat.
No, come on. 75.
It says each.
That's American too. If I do the conversion rate, that's the same. I could go to a Leaf game for that price. Are you kidding me?
And if you want, somewhere.
And you said that was the cheap tickets, right? I could literally get a cheap ticket for the Leafs at $100 Canadian, which is roughly around, $80 American,
right.
Something like that. That's ridiculous. And up here, I'm getting a much better product on the ice than you're getting in Arizona.
Okay. The most expensive ticket in the house is, wait for it, $150.
That sounds right. Only seats 5,000. You're almost at ice level if you're buying nosebleeds in that stadium. That sounds right, because
there's no nosebleeds.
Because up here, if you want to be at ice level behind the bench or something, you're shelling out close to $1,000 for one ticket.
Yeah. I mean,
that makes more sense. That's more agreeable. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess I didn't take into account that like the nosebleeds in that arena would be
They're not really nosebleeds.
It would be like the end of the platinums in the Scotiabank Arena,
right.
Which is the first color of rose that we have. It goes like platinum, red, gold, and then you get to the upper bowl, which is like blue, green, purple. I've been them all. I've been in every color seat.
Yeah. There's in the Caps, I mean the Capitals. I prefer the upper corner because I can see all the ice except for the corner below me. But I wouldn't even mind going to the end zone. I like end zone seats too because you can see everything coming at you.
Yeah, my buddy used to have seats right behind the net, like in the corner where like the media tunnel is.
Right.
Yeah, so that was always interesting. We got to meet the players one time, shake the hands when we were really young.
Well, I used to whenever we were doing games at Joe Louis, I used to watch practice at the Zamboni area where you can, where the Zamboni drives in. And so you would see them coming at you. In baseball, the winners of each league, MLB, Japan, Venezuela.
Yeah, Foxy. That's what I was talking about. Like, I want to see the Houston Astros go up against the SSG Landers. I'm pretty sure they won the KBO last year. But yeah, I want to see like that matchup, right? Or the Yomiuri Giants. I actually don't know who won Japan's league last year, but I know Yomiuri Giants is a team.
You got a 50-50 chance on that one. Yeah.
Yeah, but
usually they're
they're usually one of the better teams. They're like the Dodgers of the Japanese league,
right.
The Yomiuri Giants.
I do like in the FIBA basketball that you're talking about, right? The Champions League. I do like there's a lot of soccer. I don't know if soccer. In other words, you can have Inter Milan has a basketball team.
Yeah. There's a Benfica basketball team. The Benfica has a hockey team. I get Benfica hockey on Fubo TV. Wow. I was literally like, they have ice in Portugal. I mean, no
Well,
offense to the
it's
Portuguese, but I'm Italian.
Right.
Like, I was shocked we had a hockey team.
Well, England has hockey.
Yeah, see, like that's just surprises me, right?
I had a friend who said, "I'm going to the hockey game." I'm like, "You're in London." He goes, "Yeah, there's a hockey team."
The London Smashers are playing. What do you mean?
Yeah, what do you don't have the gear? Like, it's like, no, I don't. Sorry.
But yeah, that's what I was saying. There's a Champions League for hockey. I think even volleyball has a Champions League in Europe.
I wouldn't, but a lot of players in those in the European League are definitely players who come over here and play. Nowitzki, when he was playing, over in Europe, was somebody that everybody wanted. The Europeans playing basketball in the United States now is nothing. I mean, nobody bats an eye. In the old days, it didn't happen. And if you drafted a European guy, you're like, oh well, project. Not so much.
Well, go find the best player on all the good teams right now. Giannis, he came from Greece. Luka Doncic, he came from what? Was it Madrid or Barcelona? I know he came from Spain.
I think. But
okay. Jokic, I think he came. Did he come from? I forget. I forget where, but he's definitely like that's Jokic is that's like it's Serbian or Croatian, something like that in that area, right?
Don't get that wrong.
I won't get that. Yeah, let's check what he is. But I mean, like in that area, I just know because the J makes a Y sound. I go by pronunciation of words. Like
good choice.
J is not. That's why I always get pissed off at Juventus. I'm like, where did Italians get that name from? There's no J in the Italian alphabet, and the fact that it makes a Y sound tells me they got it from a Yugoslavic area as opposed to one of the more Spanish areas that would pronounce it as a huh sound. But then again, Portugal pronounces those J's with a J. So like I go by pronunciation. I do a lot by pronunciation. That's how I figure things out. I look at the word and I would say, how would that letter be pronounced? How would that combination of letters be pronounced? It helps me figure out what part of the world people are from.
So here's the Champions League. AEK, Bakken Bears, Diamond Bosseria, Galaxy NEF.
I don't know any of these.
Strasbourg.
Oh, Strasbourg, that's French.
Yeah.
That's a Rudy Gobert type team.
It's none of the ones that normally did. Okay. Maccabi Tel Aviv.
Yeah.
Maccabi Tel Aviv has been, they are loaded with a ton of former college basketball players in the United States. So yeah, there's they're in their season. So that's a good one. All right, so tomorrow, for those of you who can't wait, tonight at midnight, we'll start the baseball classic, and it's on Fox FS1, and it is in Tokyo. So by all means, you got something to watch at midnight tonight if you want to baseball. And I would be remiss if I did not say, in a sad note, Dave Wills, the voice of the Tampa Bay Rays, passed away from a apparent heart attack last night. He did the game with the Yankees and the Rays on Saturday, and unfortunately passed away on Sunday. So all of our thoughts and prayers to his family, and he was a wonderful guy and a wonderful broadcaster. So Dave Wills, rest in peace. And we will hear you in the many, many, many broadcasts you have done in the past that will live on forever. So anyway, today. So on that somber note, we will leave you, and we will be back tomorrow. And we've got soccer, baseball, and FIBA basketball. You never know what might show up here. But definitely soccer. We got that. So anyway, for Amadeus, I'm Jim. Sean had to leave us early, but he'll be back tomorrow. We shall be back at 2:00. So make arrangements to join us. We appreciate it. Take care. Bye-bye.